The Last Light of Humanity, generated by StoryWave.ai.
Chapter 1. Whispers of Eden. Dawn broke with a reluctant glow over the horizon, as though the sun itself was wary of illuminating the world below. The sky, a dome of muted amethyst, stretched over the expanse of cracked earth and withered scrub. It was a landscape that bore the scars of humanity's folly, the once fertile bowels of the earth, now a tapestry of desolation. Eli Hart tightened the straps on his worn leather pack, his gray eyes scanning the sparse shelter that he and Ava had called home. It was little more than a ramshackle assembly of corrugated metal and scavenged remnants of a world that had been. His rugged hands, stained with oil and grime from a life of mechanical toil, fumbled with a frayed piece of rope that held their meager supplies together. Ava Red Knight emerged from the shelter, her auburn hair catching the first light of day like embers. She adjusted the necklace with its single green stone that lay against her collarbone, a stark contrast to the pallor of the world around them. Her hazel eyes, which had once studied the green intricacies of life, now surveyed the barrenness with a resolve that belied her petite frame. "Are we ready?" she asked, her voice a calm and soothing melody amidst the cacophony of a groaning earth. Eli cast a last glance at their shelter, the corners of his eyes creasing with the weight of uncertainty. "As ready as we'll ever be," he replied, his voice gravelly like the dry ground beneath their feet. They set out as the light began to chase away the remnants of night, the silence of their departure a stark reminder of the solitude of their existence. The only witness was a lone figure, standing at the crest of a distant dune, his gaze following the pair with an inscrutable expression. The grizzled traveler, who had stumbled into their lives with tales of an oasis, a verdant beacon of hope in a world of ash and dust, watched them go, the hint of a cryptic smile playing upon his lips. Eli remembered the man's words, spoken in a voice that carried the weight of countless miles and the gravel of the wasteland winds. "Beyond the valley of shadows, where the dead rivers flow, lies Eden, a sanctuary untouched, where life dares to grow." The traveler's piercing blue eyes had held a fervor, a conviction that had pierced the veil of Eli's skepticism. As they trudged through the desolated plains, a dance of heat mirages played on the horizon. Ava sketched the contours of forgotten flora in her journal, the pages yellowed with time but rich with the ink of memories and dreams. Eli's thoughts drifted to the faded compass tattoo on his forearm, a relic from a bygone era when directions had meaning and destinations were more than just whispers carried by the wind. They spoke sparingly, conserving their breath as they conserved their water, a precious commodity that filled their flasks with life's essence. The day aged, and with it, their shadows lengthened, becoming indistinct from the darkness that began to creep over the land. They made camp in the lee of a towering rock formation, its jagged silhouette a monument to the earth's endurances. As they shared a meager meal of dried provisions, Ava looked to Eli. "Do you believe in this Eden?" she inquired, her voice betraying a hint of the fear and hope that battled within her. Eli paused, considering the question that dug at the heart of their journey. "I believe in us," he said finally, his gray eyes meeting hers. "If there's a chance for life, for something more than this, then I have to believe." The silence that followed was a pact, an understanding that transcended words. They were bound by the quest for a haven that might only exist in the dreams of a war-weary traveler. But dreams were the currency of the desperate, and in this withered world they were rich with hope. As night draped its cloak over the earth, the couple rested, their spirits buoyed by the promise of a new day and the whispers of Eden that beckoned them toward the unknown. And somewhere in the darkness, the traveler watched, his presence an enigma, his motives as veiled as the night sky. Chapter 2. Crossroads. The sun-drenched streets of the once thriving town of Greyhaven were now nothing more than a mausoleum of crumbling facades and desolate silence. Eli and Ava walked side by side, their footsteps kicking up clouds of dust that had settled on the broken cobblestones. The town, a hollow shell of its former self, echoed with the memories of laughter and life, now suffocated beneath the oppressive blanket of neglect. Ava's keen eyes roamed the skeletal remains of storefronts, her fingers tracing the outline of her necklace. Eli kept his senses sharp, the weight of a makeshift wrench snug in his palm, a reminder of the dangers that often lurked in such ghostly remnants of civilization. Without warning, a harsh voice sliced through the silence. "Hold it right there." From the husks of dilapidated buildings emerged a motley crew of bandits, their faces etched with the hard lines of survival. The leader, a sinewy man with a crooked nose and a scar tracing down his cheek, stepped forward, a rusty revolver in his grip. "You re-trespassing on our turf," the leader sneered, his eyes greedily appraising Eli and Ava's packs. "We re just passing through," Eli responded calmly, his stance relaxed yet ready. "We don't want trouble." The bandit's laugh was a dry cackle. "Trouble's found you, friend. Empty your pockets, and maybe we let you leave with your lives." Ava's gaze didn't waver. "We need our supplies. Without them, we're as good as dead." The standoff was a taut wire, each moment stretching thinner than the last. It was then that the air erupted into chaos, a cacophony of shouts and clattering debris. Eli and Ava sprang into action, a dance of cunning and desperation. Eli swung his wrench with precision, disarming one bandit with a well-aimed blow, while Ava used her agility to evade grasping hands, her own strikes calculated and swift. The fight was a whirlwind, the couple moving in unison, a testament to their time spent in a world that demanded resourcefulness at every turn. In the end, the bandits lay scattered, groaning and clutching their injuries, save for one who found himself at the mercy of Eli's unyielding grip. "Talk," Eli demanded, his gray eyes hard like flint. "Why are you terrorizing travelers?" The captured bandit, young and wiry with a mop of unruly hair, glanced nervously between his captors. "It's the preacher," he stammered. "Marcus Kane. He's got everyone riled up talking about paradise and punishment. Says he's got a direct line to salvation." Ava exchanged a look with Eli, the name stirring a sense of unease between them. The preacher's reputation was like a spreading stain across the region, his words ensnaring the desperate and the disillusioned. "Where can we find him?" she pressed, her voice firm. The bandit shook his head. "Everywhere and nowhere. He's like a ghost, preaching one day, gone the next." With a heavy heart, Eli released the young man, a silent message of mercy. He and Ava gathered their scattered belongings, their resolve hardened like the steel of the wrench Eli wielded. The bandits' words lingered in the air as they continued their journey, the specter of the preacher, now an ominous shadow on the path to Eden. As Greyhaven faded behind them, swallowed by the relentless expanse of the wasteland, Eli and Ava walked on, their minds burdened with the knowledge of the growing influence of a man who could sway the hearts of the hopeless. The journey was far from over, and the road to sanctuary was fraught with more than just the physical perils of a decaying world. It was a battle for the very soul of humanity. Chapter 3: Dwindling Hopes. The canyons rose like jagged teeth against the sky, their shadows a fleeting reprieve from the relentless sun. Eli and Ava navigated the narrow passages, the rocks around them a labyrinth of rust-colored stone. With each step, the heat seemed to tighten its grip, the air shimmering with the mirage of escape. Eli's focus was on Ava, her strength waning with every mile. Her face, usually a canvas of determination, now bore the flush of fever, and her steps carried the weight of exhaustion. "Just a little further, Red," Eli encouraged, though his own throat felt like sandpaper. Ava offered a weak nod, leaning heavily on Eli's arm. "I just need to rest, just for a moment." They found a sliver of shade beneath an overhanging rock. As Ava sank to the ground, Eli rummaged through their supplies, meager rations, scant water, and not a vial of medicine in sight. "We need to find you something for that fever," Eli said, the edges of his words tinged with concern. In the distance, the remnants of a once bustling settlement loomed, a skeletal silhouette against the sun-scorched horizon. It was a risk, but Ava's labored breathing left no choice. Eli pressed a kiss to her forehead, promising a swift return. The ruins were a graveyard of civilization, the structures crumbling under the weight of time and neglect. Eli moved with caution, his senses alert for any sign of danger. The stillness was a deceptive veil, and it wasn't long before the crack of a triggered trap split the silence. Eli found himself hanging from a snare, the world upside down, his predicament a vulnerable display. A raider emerged from the shadows, a twisted grin on his face as he approached his captured prey. Yet, the raider's victory was short-lived. A figure, lean and swift as a shadow, intercepted. Zoe, known in whispered tales as the Hawk, dispatched the raider with a precise throw of her knife, her platinum blonde hair a stark contrast to the muted tones around her. Eli's gratitude was palpable as he clutched the medicine Zoe had retrieved from the raider's stash. "I owe you one," he said, after his feet found the solid ground again. Zoe's green eyes held a glint of recognition. "You re-after the oasis, aren't you?" she asked, her voice as raspy as the wind through the canyons. Eli hesitated, then nodded. "We heard it's out there, a place where life's made a stand." Zoe reached into the folds of her weathered jacket, producing a map marked with symbols and a path leading to the heart of the oasis. "I've been hunting for it too," she admitted, her gaze locked onto the horizon. "This might help you." Eli studied the map, his fingers tracing the route that snaked across the paper, a trail of hope amidst the expanse of despair. "Why are you helping me?" he asked, a note of curiosity threading his words. Her eyes met his, fiercely determined. "Because out here, we were all that's left of humanity. We need to stick together, even if it's just to share a map or save a life." Eli returned to Ava with the medicine and the map, his heart a mix of relief and trepidation. As Ava's fever broke, they plotted their course by the dimming light, their hopes pinned on the cryptic lines that promised sanctuary. The night settled around them, a deep and enigmatic cloak. Eli and Ava, now with a tangible guide in their hands, felt the weight of the journey ahead. Yet the presence of the map and the unexpected ally in Zoe bolstered their spirits. The quest for Eden was more than a mere search for survival. It was the pursuit of the last light of humanity, flickering defiantly in the encroaching darkness. Chapter 4. Voices of the Past. Eli's boots crunched on the fragments of history that littered the floor of the once hallowed halls of the Grand Athenaeum, the library that had been a sanctuary of knowledge in a world now starved for the wisdom of the past. Ava, steps cautious and measured, ran her fingers along the spines of books, relics that whispered secrets in the musty air. The silence of the library was a stark contrast to the chaos that had become their constant companion. But within that silence, there was a charge, a tension that hummed between the towering shelves. "Look at this," Ava beckoned, her voice barely above a whisper, holding a leather-bound tome cracked with age. Eli joined her, his gaze falling upon the faded words that spoke of gardens flourishing in desolation. Their moment of discovery was shattered by the deep, charismatic timbre that now filled the vast chamber. "Books are the vessels of the old world's soul," Marcus, known as the preacher, intoned, his broad figure emerging from the labyrinth of literature. His piercing blue eyes locked onto theirs, an intensity in his gaze that felt as if he were peering into their very beings. Eli tensed, his grip tightening on the wrench that served as both tool and protector. Ava clutched the book to her chest, the green stone of her necklace catching the dim light that filtered through the dusty windows. "Join us," the preacher continued, his voice a siren's call. "In the New World Order, there's a place for those with conviction. Leave behind your futile search. The oasis you seek is here with us, in the community we're building." Ava's voice was steady, but Eli could hear the undercurrent of resolve. "We're grateful for the offer, but our path lies elsewhere." The preacher's smile was a mask that didn't reach his eyes. "That's a shame. It's rare to find souls with such clarity of purpose." The air grew thick with an unspoken threat as shadows shifted behind the preacher, figures materializing with the silent promise of violence. Eli and Ava exchanged a glance, a silent agreement, and with a swift motion, they were moving, darting between shelves. The knowledge of centuries a maze they navigated with desperate urgency. They could hear the followers' footsteps, a discordant symphony chasing them through the corridors of knowledge. The exit loomed ahead, but just as hope flickered, Ava's hand closed on a torn page, the words upon it cryptic yet compelling. "Eden's heart lies beneath the sun's scorn, guarded by the serpent's coil." With the library's threshold crossed, the couple plunged into the ink-black night, the preacher's voice echoing behind them, "You cannot escape what is ordained." Eli and Ava ran, the torn page a fragile beacon in the darkness, the sounds of pursuit a relentless drumbeat at their backs. They navigated the treacherous terrain, the canyons and ridges of the world that had become both prison and playground. As the first light of dawn crested the horizon, they found a momentary reprieve, the followers shaken, the silence a temporary balm. Eli studied the cryptic message, the words a puzzle that promised the key to their salvation or the gateway to their doom. "We'll find it, Eli," Ava said, her conviction a steadfast flame against the encroaching despair. "The oasis, our Eden, it's out there." With the map from Zoe and the torn page as their guides, Eli and Ava pressed on, the whispers of the past a chorus that fueled their journey forward, a testament to the human spirit's unyielding search for hope amidst the ruins of yesterday. Chapter 5. Mirage of Serenity. The desert sprawled before Eli and Ava, a vast canvas of shifting sands and deceitful calm. The horizon quivered under the gaze of the relentless sun, teasing the eyes with visions of water where none existed. It was a place where truth and illusion danced a dangerous tango, each step a potential plunge into peril. "Keep your wits about you," Eli muttered to Ava as they navigated the treacherous dunes, his voice barely audible above the whispering sands. "This place plays tricks on the mind." Ava's nod was firm, her eyes scanning the undulating landscape. "It's too quiet," she observed, the grip on her walking stick tight, her knuckles white against the weathered wood. Their vigilance paid off when the ground before them rippled unnaturally, a sure sign of a trap. Eli's hand shot out, halting Ava just as the sand beneath them gave way, revealing a pit lined with sharpened stakes. "Zealots," Ava hissed, her gaze locking onto the figures that materialized from behind the dunes, their robes a dissonance of color against the monotone desert. The zealots circled, their chants rising in a crescendo of fervor, faces obscured by cloth that draped from their heads. The leader, a towering figure with hands raised to the sky, bellowed, "The unfaithful shall falter at the gates of the promised land." Eli's response was edged with steel. "We have no quarrel with you. Let us pass." A young zealot, her robes hanging loose and eyes wide with doubt, broke ranks, her voice a tremulous thread. "They speak truth. We should not bar their journey." The leader's rebuke was swift, a backhand that sent the young woman sprawling. Eli and Ava, seizing the distraction, deftly disarmed two of their aggressors, their movements honed by countless days of survival. The young zealot scrambled to her feet, her voice now firm with decision. "Stop! They are not our enemy." She approached Eli and Ava, a hand extended in peace. "My name is Leah. I was once like them, blinded by the preacher's words, but no more." Eli eyed her warily, but Ava's intuition led her to grasp Leah's hand. "Why the change of heart?" Ava asked. Leah's eyes were haunted as she gazed at the horizon. "The preacher seeks the oasis not for sanctuary, but for dominion. He believes it will grant him power untold, control over the very essence of life." The revelation cast a new shadow over their quest, the weight of their discovery as oppressive as the desert heat. Eli exchanged a glance with Ava. "We need to find the oasis before he does." "It's not just about survival anymore." Leah nodded, her resolve steeling. "I will help you. I know the terrain, the ways of the zealots. Together, we can outpace them." As the trio set off, the desert seemed to watch, its sands a silent witness to the alliances formed in the face of desperation. The path ahead was fraught with more than the natural dangers of the wasteland. It was now a race against the twisted ambitions of a man who would claim the last bastion of hope as his own. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting the desert in a twilight that blurred the line between reality and the mirages that teased their vision. But amid the uncertainty, one thing was clear. Eli, Ava, and their new companion Leah were united in purpose, their course set for the heart of the enigma that beckoned them forward, the oasis that was both salvation and potential damnation. Chapter 6. Descent into Darkness. The mouth of the cavern yawned wide, a gaping maw in the earth's crust that beckoned Eli, Ava, and Leah with an air of mystery and peril. The sun, a mere memory in the sky, cast long, forlorn shadows that danced across the jagged entrance. Eli peered into the abyss, the beam of his makeshift torch a feeble battle against the enveloping blackness. "Are we sure this river will take us where we need to go?" His voice echoed off the walls, a testament to the vastness that lay ahead. Leah nodded, her silhouette outlined by the flickering light. The old stories speak of it, a vein that courses through the earth, leading to the heart of the oasis. Ava, her weary face betraying a tinge of apprehension, gripped her own torch tighter. Then we have no choice. We follow the river. Their descent was a cautious ballet, each step a deliberate move against the treacherous terrain. The path narrowed, the walls of the cavern closing in around them like the embrace of a long-forgotten giant. The sound of rushing water reached their ears before they saw it. A subterranean river that flowed with a life of its own, its surface a tapestry of ripples reflecting their torchlight. They fashioned a raft from the remnants of the old world that littered the cave's edge. Relics turned tools of survival. As they set their makeshift vessel upon the water, the current took hold, and the river drew them into its depths. The walls of the cavern came alive with the luminescence of mineral deposits, a natural spectacle that painted their surroundings with an ethereal glow. Their journey was a descent not only into the earth but into the unknown, the darkness a canvas upon which their fears and hopes were equally projected. "Stay sharp," Eli murmured, his eyes constantly scanning the shadows that flirted with the edges of their light. "We're not alone down here." Ava's hand went to the hilt of her knife, a comfort against the creeping dread. "Raiders?" Leah's voice was steady, but there was a hardness to it. "They're like rats, drawn to the scent of hope. But we'll face them together." The river's twists and turns were a labyrinth, and as they navigated its deceptive calm, the echoes of a bygone civilization whispered from the crevices. Faded murals adorned the cave walls, their stories etched in stone a guide or a warning. It was hard to tell. The tranquility shattered when the telltale signs of pursuit rippled through the cavern. The sounds of splashing and guttural shouts carried on the water, the raiders a relentless tide nipping at their heels. "We need to move faster," Eli said, his hands working in tandem with Ava and Leah to propel the raft forward. Their bond, forged in the crucible of their journey, became their strength as they maneuvered through the subterranean maze. When the river threw them into the rapids, they clung to each other, to their shared resolve. It was in these moments, when the darkness seemed insatiable, that their connection transformed, no longer just allies, but a singular force against the threats that sought to engulf them. As they emerged from the bowels of the earth, the night sky greeted them, a tapestry of stars winking down as if in silent applause for their triumphant ascent. Behind them, the sounds of the raiders faded, swallowed by the cavern they had conquered. There, on the banks of the river, the echoes of the past solidified into certainty. The murals had not lied. The symbols on the cave walls aligned with the cryptic hints on the torn page, the map, and their combined knowledge. They now knew where the oasis lay, a sanctuary shrouded in secrecy and legend. Eli, Ava, and Leah set up a meager camp, their bodies exhausted, but their spirits buoyant. Tomorrow they would continue, the last light of humanity, an indomitable flame within each of them, leading them ever closer to the salvation that was the oasis. Chapter 7. The Shadow of Doubt. The arid landscape stretched before Eli and Ava, a tapestry of sand and stone that blurred into the horizon. The relentless sun beat down upon them, a harsh judge to their plodding advance. Their shadows, long and distorted, were the only change in the monotonous terrain. Eli's gaze was locked on the compass etched into his forearm, now more a symbol of their dwindling hope than a guide. Ava walked beside him, the once vivid hue of her hair now dulled by the omnipresent dust, her green stone necklace obscured beneath the grime of their journey. "I thought we'd have seen it by now," Eli grumbled, the edge in his voice sharper than intended. Ava sighed, her fatigue evident. The landscape could have changed. Shifted sands, eroded landmarks. It's not like we have a recent satellite image to go by. Their banter, once light and teasing, had taken on the weight of the wariness that clung to them like a second skin. Leah, trailing behind, interjected with a note of caution in her tone. "Doubt is a dangerous thing. It can. We know," Eli snapped, cutting her off. Leah recoiled, a frown creasing her youthful features. Ava shot Eli a glare. "Why are you so on edge?" Ava demanded, her words sharp as flint. Eli's reply was a growl of frustration. "Because every step we take could be in the wrong direction. Because we're running on fumes and faith." Ava's response was cold, calculated. "And what would you have us do, Eli? Turn back? Give up?" They stood there, locked in a stalemate, their silhouettes etched against the barren backdrop. It was Leah who broke the tension, her discovery a soft exclamation. "Look, She pointed to a fallen figure, partly buried in the sand. A raider, lifeless and cold, a victim of the desert's unforgiving nature. Eli and Ava approached cautiously, the silence between them now a thick veil. Leah rifled through the raider's belongings, retrieving a weathered map. It was marked with the same symbols as the ones etched on the cave walls and the torn page they had found. "This confirms it," Leah said, her voice tinged with a mixture of relief and dread. "The oasis exists." Eli examined the map, his eyes tracing the route that now seemed so clear. Yet there was something else, a symbol they hadn't seen before, ominous and foreboding. "What's this?" Ava inquired, leaning over Eli's shoulder, her breath warm on his neck, a reminder of their shared bond. Eli shook his head. "A warning? A guardian? It's hard to say." The weight of their discovery was a catalyst, and the air between Eli and Ava shifted, charged with the unspoken realization of what lay ahead. "We can't let fear divide us," Ava said softly, her hand finding Eli's. "Not when we're this close." Eli's fingers closed around hers, the familiar touch a balm to his frayed nerves. "I'm sorry," he murmured. I can't lose you. Not after everything." Ava's smile was faint but genuine. "You won't. We're stronger than this desert, stronger than the preacher's madness. Together." As they continued their trek, the doubts that had loomed so large began to shrink beneath the vast sky. The map, with its promise and its warnings, was a testament to their journey, a pathway etched in both hope and caution. The sun dipped below the horizon, and the first stars began to appear, a celestial audience to the drama unfolding below. Eli, Ava, and Leah, united once more in purpose, moved forward under the watchful gaze of the heavens, their determination rekindled, their quest for the oasis undimmed. Chapter 8. Rendezvous with Destiny. The vast desert had given way to a rugged landscape where towering rock formations stood like silent sentinels. Eli, Ava, and Leah approached the final landmark, a monolithic spire that split the sky, its shadow a sundial marking the passage of their arduous journey. "There it is," Eli said, his voice steady, eyes fixed on the spire, the sentinel rock, the guardian of the oasis. The sun hung low, a fiery orb that painted the earth in hues of amber and crimson. They were close, so tantalizingly close to the promise of life and greenery, to the whispers of water that sang of a world reborn. As they neared the base of the spire, a figure stepped into view, the setting sun casting him in silhouette. Marcus, known as the preacher, stood with a calm that belied the tension in the air. His acolytes fanned out behind him, a phalanx of the converted. Ava's hand clenched the hilt of her knife, her stance poised and ready. "We don't want any trouble," she announced, her voice echoing against stone. Marcus's laugh was low and mirthless. "Trouble? No. We are here to welcome you to the new beginning." Eli's gaze swept over the acolytes, his hand subtly signaling Leah to circle wide. "Your new beginning is built on lies and control, Marcus. We won't be part of it." The air crackled with the energy of the imminent clash. Marcus stepped forward, his blue eyes capturing the last light of day. "Then you stand against the will of the divine." It was Eli who spoke next, his words cutting through the tension. "No, we stand for hope, for freedom, not your twisted vision." The silence was shattered as the acolytes surged forward, a wave of zealotry crashing against the resolve of three weary travelers. Eli and Ava met them with ferocity, a dance of desperation that had become all too familiar. As the battle raged at the foot of the spire, a shadow moved against the fading light. Zoe, the hermit known as the Hawk, emerged from the rocks above. With a cry that split the sky, she launched herself into the fray, her arrival a whirlwind that shifted the tide. The clash of wills was a tempest, each blow exchanged a testament to the beliefs that fueled them. Eli fought with a mechanic's precision, every wrench swing a calculated risk. Ava's movements were a botanist's grace, each strike as intricate as the flora she once tended. In the chaos, Leah faced Marcus, the young woman who had once followed him, now his challenger. "Your path ends here, preacher. The oasis will not be yours." Marcus's voice was a snarl, his calm facade crumbling. "You think you can deny me, deny us, our destiny?" Leah's reply was swift as her blade. "Destiny isn't yours to command." The battle's crescendo came as the sun dipped below the horizon, the sky a canvas of twilight blues and purples. When the final acolyte fell, the silence that followed was profound. Eli, Ava, and Leah stood, their chests heaving, the dust of the confrontation hanging in the air like a shroud. They turned to face the spire, the sentinel rock now a beacon that led them to the final stage of their quest. The oasis lay beyond, its secrets guarded, its promise of a new dawn for humanity now within reach. The last light of humanity was not a flickering candle, but a blaze that burned bright against the encroaching darkness. As they advanced, their hearts were united by the journey behind them and the future they would forge together. Chapter 9. The Oasis Revealed. Eli's first view of the oasis was through a curtain of exhaustion, his body scarred by the journey, his spirit yearning for the reprieve of certainty. As he and Ava crested the final dune, the sight that unfolded before them was one of such surreal beauty that it stole the very breath from his lungs. Ava's hand found his, her grip as tight as if she feared the vision might vanish. "Eli, is it truly there?" Her voice was a whisper, a fragile sound that seemed too loud in the presence of such wonder. The oasis lay nestled in a natural basin, a tapestry of greens and blues that vibrated with life. Palm trees swayed gently in the breeze, their fronds casting dappled shadows over the lush undergrowth. The sound of running water was a symphony, the clear streams and bubbling brooks the veins through which the heart of the oasis pulsed. Leah, who had trailed a step behind, let out a soft gasp. It's real." They descended the dune, their feet sinking into the cool, moist sand at the edge of the paradise. The air here was different, filled with the scent of blooming flowers and the freshness of untainted water. Eli knelt at the water's edge, submerging his hands into the crystalline stream. The cool touch was not only a physical balm, but seemed to seep deeper, easing the aches in his soul. Ava joined him, her reflection in the water mirroring the myriad of emotions that danced across her features. "We made it," she breathed, the reality of their achievement settling in. The water, upon contact, seemed to hum with an energy that resonated within them. Eli watched in awe as the bruises on his arms, the testament to their confrontations and trials, faded beneath his gaze. Leah crouched beside them, tentatively touching the water. "It's like it's alive. Healing." Eli's gravelly voice was filled with a new hope, a vigor that had been absent for too long. "This is more than just a sanctuary. It's a chance to start over, to build something new." Ava's eyes, bright with the reflection of the vibrant surroundings, met his. "We could make a home here, Eli. A real home." Leah stood, her eyes scanning the horizon beyond the oasis. "You think others will come? Those looking for hope, like us?" Eli rose to his full height, his silhouette framed by the verdant backdrop. "They will, and we'll be here to show them there's a different way to live, not under the thumb of zealots or false prophets." The sun dipped below the horizon, casting the oasis in a warm, golden hue. Night approached, but within the grove, the darkness held no threat. They set up a small camp, the first of many they would build here. As the stars emerged, brilliant and clear in the pollution-free sky, the oasis seemed to cradle them in its embrace, a guardian of their new beginning. Ava leaned back against a trunk of a palm tree, its bark rough against her back, a contrast to the softness of the grass beneath them. "Eli, what we have here, it's more than I ever dared to hope for." Eli reached for her hand, their fingers intertwining like the roots of the oasis plants around them. "Our journey's not over, Ava. It's just beginning." Chapter 10. Seeds of Tomorrow. Eli wiped the sweat from his brow as he surveyed the perimeter of the oasis, the verdant jewel that they now called home. The makeshift barricades of salvaged metal and sandbags stood like silent sentries against the encroachment of the outside world's chaos. Ava, her fingers coated in the rich soil that was a stark contrast to the barren wastes beyond their sanctuary, looked up from her work with the seedlings. "These barricades, you think they'll hold?" "They'll do more than hold," Eli assured her, his voice carrying the timbre of confidence. "They'll stand as a testament to our resolve." Leah approached, her arms laden with an array of tools, the metal glinting in the sunlight. "You know, the old ways of farming, the techniques used by civilizations long gone, they might just be our saving grace here." Ava straightened up, brushing a lock of auburn hair from her face. "Tell us more, Leah. Anything that helps us grow a new world from the ashes of the old." Leah set down the tools and unrolled a series of worn, hand-drawn diagrams. Crop rotation, companion planting, water conservation methods that are almost forgotten. With the oasis as our heart, we can revive these practices. Eli joined them, crouching beside the diagrams. We'll need every trick in the book. This place, it's more than just a haven. It's our future, and we're going to defend it with everything we've got. As the sun began its descent, casting a golden hue over the oasis, the trio worked into the evening, their hands shaping the foundation of a new beginning. They fortified their defenses, planned the layout of their crops, and shared stories of the world that once was, weaving the fabric of the community they envisioned. Night fell, and the oasis transformed under the moon's silver gaze. The gentle hum of nocturnal life was a melody to their tireless endeavor, the cool breeze a whisper of the life force that sustained their Eden. Ava looked out over the land, the young plants a grid of potential beneath the star-studded sky. "We're doing it, Eli. We're actually making this work." Eli's arm found its way around her shoulders, pulling her close. "We are, and we'll keep making it work. For us, for those who will join us, for tomorrow." The night deepened, and the oasis cradled them, its guardians and its wards, as they sowed the seeds of a new dawn, a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of the last light of humanity. Chapter 11, Harmony Restored. Elijah stood at the head of a long, reclaimed wooden table that had been meticulously pieced together from the flotsam of the old world. Around him, the faces of their growing community were a mosaic of determination and hope. Ava, her auburn hair now threaded with strands of leadership's weight, sat to his right, her gaze sweeping across the assembly. "We're not just building a settlement," Elijah began, his voice resonating with the authority that had grown from necessity. "We're sowing the seeds of a new civilization." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the gathered individuals, each one having found their way to the oasis through whispers of its existence. A woman named Mariah, her dark skin a contrast to the pale sands that surrounded their haven, leaned forward. "We need structure, roles, something like a council." Elijah nodded at her, appreciating the insight. "A council, yes, a representation of all who dwell here, a collective voice." Ava, her hands folded neatly in front of her, added, "We need to consider sustainability. Our resources are a gift, but not inexhaustible." Leah chimed in, her youthful exuberance not overshadowed by the gravity of the conversation. "And education. We can't let the knowledge of the past die. It's what will keep us moving forward." The discussions that followed were a tapestry of voices, each thread a crucial part of the whole. They spoke of irrigation, of defense, of trade, and of the legacy they were tasked to steward. A man with grizzled hair and hands as rough as the bark of the palm trees, known simply as Sarge, grumbled about security. "We've got to be prepared. Raiders, zealots, or just the desperate. We can't let our guard down." Ava met his concern with a measured response. "We'll train scouts, set up patrols. The oasis has given us life. We'll protect it with ours." The moon rose high, casting the meeting in a silver glow, the oasis itself a silent participant. The council was formed, each member a guardian of a facet of their new world. As the gathering dispersed, Elijah and Ava remained, the cool night air a whisper of the challenges and triumphs yet to come. Elijah turned to Ava, his gray eyes reflecting the moonlight. "Do you think we're ready for this? To lead, to guide?" Ava's hand reached out, her touch a reaffirmation of their shared path. "We've come this far, Eli. We'll do what we must. For everyone here, for the future." And as they walked back to their shelter, the small but resilient structures that dotted the landscape around the oasis stood testament to the harmony they had restored. The last light of humanity was not fading into the darkness. It was burning brighter, a beacon for all who sought refuge and a chance to begin anew. Chapter 12, Echoes of the Future. The heart of the oasis was a place where even the air seemed to thrum with vitality. Here, in the lush epicenter of their Eden, Elijah and Ava discovered something more profound than they had ever anticipated. Beneath a canopy of verdant foliage, where the streams converged into a clear pool, lay a bedrock of glowing minerals, pulsating with a life force that beckoned them closer. Elijah knelt by the water's edge, his rugged hands skimming the surface. "Feels like there's a pulse under the ground," he remarked, a note of wonder lacing his gravelly voice. Ava bent down beside him, her keen hazel eyes studying the iridescent stones. "It's like the earth's heartbeat. If we could understand it, maybe Leah joined them, her youthful face alight with the possibilities that lay within their grasp. We could spread this. Imagine, rejuvenating the barren lands beyond our borders. The three of them stood in contemplative silence, the magnitude of their discovery a heavy mantle upon their shoulders. The potential was immense, but so was the responsibility. We need a plan, Ava stated, a tone of determination cutting through the tranquility of the oasis. If these minerals can restore life, we must use them wisely, not exploit them. Elijah nodded, the weight of their previous world's errors a silent specter in their midst. We've got to be careful. We can't make the same mistakes that turned the world into a wasteland. Sarge, with his military precision and practical mind, stepped into the conversation, his voice a gruff rumble. We'll need to map it out, start small. Expansion is good, but control is better. A newcomer to the community, Rhea, who had once been a scientist in the fields of botany and ecology, offered her insight. There are methods, sustainable ways to harness this kind of energy. We could rekindle life, one plot at a time. Elijah looked around at the faces gathered, each one marked by the trials they had overcome, by the shared vision of a future they were crafting with their own hands. Then it's decided, he said, his voice a beacon in the soft dusk. We'll expand, but with intention. Our legacy will be one of restoration, not ruin. The council convened under the stars, the night air a canvas for their grand design. They spoke of irrigation channels to be dug, of seeds to be spread, and of the oasis as the heart from which new life would flow. Zoe, the hermit who had become their steadfast ally, shared her knowledge of ancient techniques, her words painting a picture of a world reborn. With the right approach, we could see forests where there's now only sand. It'll take time, but it's possible. Ava stood, her gaze fixed on the horizon where the night sky met the dunes. We'll teach others what we learn here. Share the hope. The assembly dispersed, each member carrying with them a fragment of the dream they were nurturing. The oasis whispered its secrets to them, a symphony of the future that played in the rustling leaves and the flowing waters, a promise of what could be, of a light that would never fade. Chapter 13, A New Dawn. The first rays of sunlight pierced the horizon, casting a golden glow over the oasis which now teemed with life. Eli and Ava stood at the heart of the sanctuary they had fostered, surrounded by the community they had helped to forge from the embers of a world that once was. Today marked not an end, but a beginning, a ceremony to honor the birth of a new society. Eli, with his rugged build and a countenance that spoke of both strength and gentleness, clasped the hand of Ava, her auburn hair now adorned with a circlet of woven greenery, symbolizing the growth they had nurtured. They faced their assembly, a collective of souls who had chosen to stand with them at the dawning of this new era. I never thought I'd see a day like this, Eli began, his voice steady and sure, echoing off the natural amphitheater formed by the palms and rock formations. Ava smiled warmly at the gathering, her hazel eyes reflecting the dreams of everyone present. We've come from far and wide, from desolation to a place of hope. This, she gestured to the verdant landscape around them, is our new legacy. Leah stepped forward, her youthful presence a stark reminder of the future they were building. It's not just about surviving anymore. It's about living, truly living. Rhea, her scientific mind always in search of knowledge, shared her thoughts with a clear and resonant voice. We've learned from the past. Our technology, our understanding, it's different this time. We're in harmony with the earth. The community listened, rapt, as Sarge, his once hardened exterior softened by the promise of peace, offered his perspective. We've got a chance to do right by each other. No more factions, no more fighting for scraps. We're united here for the common good. Zoe, the solitary figure who had become a pillar of their society, her wisdom hard-earned by years in the wilderness, nodded in agreement. Our roots are deep in this place, and from these roots will grow a mighty tree, strong, enduring, and sheltering all who seek its canopy. Eli turned to Ava, squeezing her hand as they prepared to make their vow, not just to each other, but to the community they had come to cherish. We stand before you, not as rulers, but as equals. Our journey has changed us, shaped us into the leaders you see today. Ava's voice complemented Eli's perfectly, her words a harmonious blend of promise and resolve. We accept this responsibility to guide, to nurture, to protect. But we do so with the understanding that each of us plays a part in the survival of our new world. The ceremony continued, each member of the oasis stepping forward to affirm their commitment to the society they were building. It was a mosaic of voices, each unique, yet harmonized in a singular purpose. As the sun climbed higher, bathing the oasis in a light that seemed to bless the new dawn, Eli and Ava stood side by side, watching as their vision became reality. It was a society born of necessity, but raised with the love and determination of those who knew the bitter taste of a world lost and the sweet savor of a future reclaimed. With the ceremony's close, the community dispersed, each individual returning to their tasks, their contributions to the tapestry of their burgeoning society. And as the day waned, the oasis thrived, a beacon of green amidst the desolate lands beyond, a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity and the enduring light of hope. Chapter 14, Legacy. Within the woven reed walls of their domicile, Elijah's hands trembled ever so slightly as he cradled the newest member of the oasis. The infant, swaddled in a blanket dyed with the soft blues and greens of the thriving plants around them, was a symbol of the future they had fought so hard to secure. Ava, her strength evident in the gentle rise and fall of her chest, watched the two most important people in her life with a gaze filled with complexity, a blend of exhaustion, pride, and an unspoken understanding of the gravity of this moment. "He's so small, Ava," Elijah whispered, his voice a mixture of awe and apprehension. "Our little Adam." Ava's lips curved into a weary smile. "And yet he carries such immense possibility." Leah peered in through the open doorway, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "Can I?" She trailed off, the question hanging like a dandelion seed on the breeze. "Of course, come." Ava beckoned her closer, understanding the shared investment they all had in this new life. Leah approached, her fingers brushing against the infant's cheek, the contact sparking a silent vow to protect and guide this new soul. "Hey, little one. Welcome to the world." Outside, the oasis stretched out, verdant and vibrant, the hum of life a testament to their toil. Elijah stepped out, cradling Adam, the sun casting a celestial glow over the scene. Sarge, his grizzled features softened in the presence of the child, approached with a nod. "He'll never have to know the hells we've seen." "No, he won't," Elijah agreed, his gaze turning thoughtful as he surveyed the horizon. "We've given him, and every child after him, a chance at something better." Rhea joined them, her scientific mind always contemplating the future. "Imagine the stories they'll tell, Eli, of how we turned the end of the world into a beginning." Elijah looked down at Adam, the tiny chest rising and falling rhythmically, each breath a whisper of the promise they held. "This is our legacy," Ava said as she joined Elijah, her arm wrapping around him. "Not just the land and the water, but the hope that blooms with every new life." They stood in silence, the oasis a canvas upon which they would paint their aspirations, dreams crystallizing with the clarity that only the bright eyes of a child could inspire. A new dawn greeted them, and with it, the unspoken oath to shepherd humanity away from the shadows of its past and into the light of a future worth living. The last light of humanity was no longer the flicker of a dying flame, but the steady glow of life, reborn in the heart of the oasis, in the breath of a child named Adam. Chapter 15, Reflections in Still Water. Eli leaned against a gnarled olive tree, its twisted trunk a testament to resilience. The sun, a radiant orb in the azure sky, cast a warm glow over the oasis. Beside him, Ava gently rocked the cradle where Adam lay, his tiny chest rising and falling in the rhythm of new life. "This place, it's more than I ever imagined it could be," Eli murmured, his gray eyes tracing the horizon where greenery met the stark desert. Ava brushed a strand of auburn hair from her face, the light breeze carrying the scent of blooming wildflowers. "We dreamed of a refuge, but we've built so much more. A home, a future." Adam cooed, his small fingers curling and uncurling in the dance of discovery. Ava's gaze lingered on their son, the embodiment of hope in a world reborn. Leah approached, her stride confident, a reflection of the growth she had experienced alongside the oasis. "Eli, Ava, look at what we've all built together. It's beautiful." Eli offered a smile, his hand resting on the bark of the olive tree. "It took every ounce of strength we had. But you're right, Leah. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Sarge, his imposing figure softened by the serene setting, joined them, nodding in agreement. Didn't think I'd live to see something like this. It's like the world's got a second chance. They watched as Zoe, the hermit who had become their guide and mentor, packed her modest belongings. Her time at the oasis had come to an end, and with it, the start of a new chapter. Ava called out to her, "You're leaving, Zoe?" Zoe paused, her green eyes reflecting the wisdom of the ages. "My journey isn't over. There are more out there who need to find their way back to life, back to hope." Eli stood upright, extending his hand. "You've given us so much, Zoe. We won't forget it." Zoe clasped his hand firmly, her grip belying her years. "Keep this place safe. Teach Adam and the others that come after what it means to live, not just survive." As Zoe disappeared beyond the swaying palms, the soft murmur of the oasis's streams accompanied her departure, a natural farewell to a revered friend. Eli turned back to the cradle, where Adam now lay quietly observing the world with wide, curious eyes. "We've been through the crucible, faced down our demons, and found paradise," Eli said, his voice filled with a mixture of pride and nostalgia. Ava rested her head on Eli's shoulder, watching the sun's reflection in the still water of the oasis. "We've been given a chance to mend what was broken, to restore what was lost." Their reflections in the water, a family united by love and struggle, were a mirror to the past and a window to the future. The saga of their quest had come full circle in the tranquility of the oasis. Adam's tiny hand reached out, grasping at the sunlight that dappled through the leaves above. In that simple gesture lay the essence of their journey, a reach for the light, a grasp for the future. And so Eli and Ava stood together, their child by their side, at the edge of the reflective waters, contemplating the world they had shaped and the legacy that would ripple through the generations. The last light of humanity now shone brightly, a beacon of enduring hope cast upon the still waters of the oasis.
Thank you for listening. Subscribe now and visit our website StoryWave.ai to start creating your own generative audiobooks today. StoryWave is the only true on-demand entertainment portal.